RealTuners Radio.
So, do you want to learn how to tune electronic fuel injection live in person with the guys from RealTuners? We have 2-day courses in dyno shops all across the country. Register for these at RealTuners.com. Click on RealTuners Live Classes. For more info or to make a reservation, go to RealTuners.com or message us at RealTuners LLC on Facebook. Learn how to tune your own standalone EFI systems like Holley, Fuel Tech, Fast, and others on the chassis dyno. And now we've announced new GM, Gen 3, and Gen 4 2-day classes taught by James Short of Shore Tuning. Our classes cover such topics as traction control, individual cylinder tuning on a budget, safe tuning for maximum power, and power adder tuning. Upcoming classes with available seats are as follows. General Motors Gen 3 and Gen 4 factory ECU tuning with HP tuners at Trick Pro Motorsports in Palm Bay, Florida on December 1st and 2nd. And our new advanced standalone tuning for drag racers will debut at Kevin Smith's shop, KSR Performance in Gainesville, Florida on November 17th and 18th. This is a brand new class and Kevin's shop is the place to catch it first. Chicago people, check it out. We just added an EFI Essential standalone class on October 27th and 28th in Rockford, Illinois. Check out RealTuners.com to sign up. The seats are filling up fast. Stay tuned for more fall and winter dates. Sign up for updates at RealTuners.com. These classes are designed to help you get your project running successfully in a course taught by people who actually do this stuff for a living. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 62 of RealTuners Radio. Tonight we welcome back Eric Yost so he can give us a wrap-up of the Horsepower Wars $10,000 drag race shootout, as well as talk to us about his plans for the upcoming No Mercy race at South Georgia Motorsports Park this weekend, and perhaps talk a little chassis and suspension tuning in the process. As always, we have our usual panel of hosts, John Bewley from Little John's Motorsports, Tom Sewell from Fuel Injector Development, Phil Fowler from Bear Brakes, Mo Lonis from Nano Nitrous, Rye Klemp from Bull City Speed, Mark Dahlquist from Throttles Performance, James Short with Shore Tuning, our own in-house engineer Scott Evans from Helix Tuning, and finally me, Scott Clark with RealTuners. Welcome to the show, everyone. Hey, what's going on? Hopefully everybody can hear us tonight. Hopefully you Ring Central guys, can you hear me?
We're here.
Word. It's working. It's probably going to blow up. Everybody get ready to be drunk tonight.
Yeah, we're here.
Totally changed everything up.
Gonna be
Cool. Let's see here. Episode 62. Rocking and rolling. Gosh, it looks like everything's working, man. All the little lights, the blinking lights are blinking. All right, cool. Hopefully we sound okay. Let us know if it sounds like crap. I know you guys will. Okay. Interesting. Man, busy week. We didn't puss out tonight, though. Sorry about last week, but there was just no way. I had to roll out to an NHRA race so I could get our butts handed to us in Pro Stock. And tomorrow morning, I'm skipping I don't know, you guys, we got some guys at the Ducks race, at the No Mercy race, but I'm skipping that this year. I'm going to the Arkansas Mile. The East Coast Timing Association is doing their third meet of the year in Blytheville, Arkansas, and I am going to that with the Matajasic brothers. So hopefully bring back like a track record. We were really close last time. We had the record until like the last couple of minutes. So we're going to turn it up and break it, and then we're going to have Bewley help us build a combo. But so anyway, that's what's going on for me. Rye, what's shaking with you, man?
I am still trying to figure out whether or not I've recovered fully from drag week.
So why don't you give us a little summation of how it ended up for you guys?
So like most things in my life, it ended up in a complete and total dumpster fire. Yeah. So after I talked to you guys last week or 2 weeks ago, I was like, super happy and optimistic and really trying not to jinx myself with the whole thing. and I mentioned that we changed fuels on it in Charlotte. Well, we hit Bristol, got to the track bright and early, changed the car over, lined up, and the car made a good hit. It went 870, but about 100 feet before the stripe, coolant hit the windshield, water hit the windshield, and the overflow, the catch can, it vents into the windshield. So if something pressurizes the system, it's going to hit the windshield, and I know, hey, that's not a good sign, dude. So
flying coolant, never a good sign, dude.
Yeah. So we saw it hit, and I lifted, and car stalled. Checked the mirror; it wasn't blowing smoke or anything out of the back of it. So I felt like, okay, maybe this is we did top the radiator off coming through the mountains. Like maybe that was just a little bit of water. And when I got out and picked up the parachute and everything, it was just dumping water out of the side of the block. So we torched the cylinder head, went back and looked at the data. It went lean on that cylinder on the passenger side, and we got the head ripped off of it. While I ran up to the tower to turn my time slip in, like, we're not out of this yet. Maybe we can fix this. We weren't sure the extent of the damage. We hadn't pulled it apart yet. Ran over to Cometic. They had a booth there, bought a pair of head gaskets. By the time I get back to the car, Scott Sublet has a pair of cylinder heads from a gentleman by the name of Matt Aruda. So shout out to that dude.
Excellent.
He had a pair of
Thank you, Matt.
stock heads. And everybody's gathered around the car. The Australian collective came in clutch, and they're like, what do you need? Do you need us to take you somewhere? And I'm like, I need to ride to the parts store. I got to go get this stuff. So we ripped the head off, torched the cylinder head. And then looking at the data, it went lean. It was about 11.8, 11.9 AFR, which, doesn't sound crazy, but it was on a C85 fuel. So what I didn't know about that fuel, and I should have known, is it's oxygenated. And it says right on VP's website to add about 6% fuel. And then B, in big red and white letters on the top, says this is an MTB fuel, MTBE, whatever that stands for. I can't remember off the top of my head. You guys could probably tell me. But it has that additive package in the fuel. And it even says this fuel is not compatible with all fuel injectors. Well, guess who has those injectors? This guy. So
you got the big I told you so from Sewell.
Yeah. He did. And I at first I was like, fuck you, Tom, but
I could hear
he's
you
right.
should have asked, bro.
I know, but I didn't think about it because I thought C16 is not oxygenated to my knowledge. C85, it's just E85 with a little bit of C16 instead of pump gas. Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah, but CE, whatever.
Would have, should have, could have. In hindsight's 2020 every time, but it was kind of a letdown that was what took us out. But it's also kind of, confidence inspiring to know that's what took us out was my own stupid mistake. It was just pouring the fuel in the car. It wasn't the car's fault. It was my own fault. So we patched it together. We threw a 799 head or 706 head on that side. And because the guides hadn't been cut down for the increased valve lift, we just put it on there with no valve seals. And rode all the way to Bristol, or from Bristol to. Did that thing
consume a ton of oil on that trip, or
at idle it would start chugging like crazy? But I have a vacuum pump on the thing, so it actually wasn't bad. Rolling down the road, it ran really, really good. Surprisingly, this was the last leg was probably the gnarliest. 260 miles, 4 states. We went from Bristol, Tennessee, up to Asheville, North Carolina, which, if you're familiar with the geography over there, it's kind of lumpy and hilly. And then down into South. There's one point, man, I didn't even know where we were. I looked at Scott and I was like, man, what state are we in? And it's the middle of the night.
Confusion.
Dude, you shut the car off and all you heard was banjos. You got a pretty mouth, boy. That's what I was waiting to hear every time we stopped somewhere. But the car did phenomenal. I couldn't ask for a better performance out of it. So we rolled into the track the next day in Atlanta, and the reception that we got when we limped into the hotel from the Australian guys, These are riding around in Commerce, Georgia, on a golf cart, which isn't legal, but they're
A
international.
whole lot
So I
about
guess,
drag week that isn't legal. Yeah, on the Aussies. It's
yeah,
like, hey, dude, keep your beer down below the window line.
yeah, diplomatic immunity, I guess.
Right?
We limited the track. We just put it in the lanes. Our plan was make a hit, get a time slip, and then go back. And we were going to put the other 706 head on the other side because it was chugging on 7 cylinders. Something was wrong on the driver's side, and we didn't see it. And I found out last night what it is, which you'll probably laugh. It chugged down the track and went like a 16-1. And it was pouring so much oil, and we didn't want to risk oil getting in the chamber when trying to send a bunch of boost at it and detonating it and really hurting it. And we got back in the pits, and I looked at Scott. We were both exhausted, and I was like, you know what? Dude, we made it. Like, we finished the event. We did what we came to do. We got 2 out of 3 things. We had fun. We finished the event. We didn't run an 8 at every track, but we're here. And that's better than 25% of what these other people did. So let's do something we haven't done all week. Let's go have a beer and watch some fucking racing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we did. So we threw the towel in there. Well, I guess not throwing the towel. We called that a wrap, and we finished 19th. So we dropped from number 7 to number 19 with a 10-1 average, but we finished. So it was an absolutely amazing event, dude. I cannot wait. It was funny. Like, we were on the drive home the next day, 30 minutes into the trip.
Yeah,
and I was
already
like,
planning next year. Yep.
You're zombies. And I looked at Scott.
We just had Big Daddy Station Wagon 7-second. Frank Saponaro just joined.
Lovely. Is he on the Facebook?
Oh, what's up, man? So I turned to Scott and I was like, man, this may sound messed up, but I'm ready to go again. And Scott was like, yeah, me too. And this is a dude that's been
right up the main line, right in the artery. You're
exactly.
done.
I was gonna say, just sounds like shooting heroin. Not like
and this is a dude that's Scott's been racing.
Sublet's a madman. No, that's right up his alley as far as thrashing goes. Yep. Yeah.
So, but he was doing it on Pro Mod and Outlaw 10.5 and stuff like that. And he's one of my best friends, and he's taught me so much in the world of racing. And he's become very jaded by it in a certain sense. Like, he's like, I want nothing to do with race cars sometimes. And sometimes I'm afraid that I'm going to burn him out with my BS. But after this, I've never seen him more excited about racing.
Sounds like he's into it. Yeah.
And it's drag week. You're racing for $1 or a jacket. You're not racing for anything other than to prove that, I got a fast street car. So amazing event, and huge thanks to everybody that helped me, including our guest tonight, Eric Yost. Even though your fuel would turn to be the devil's juice, and no fault of his own, but Eric is our guest tonight. Eric Yost, Customs by Bingen out of Mooresville, North Carolina. He's been on the show a couple times now, and here to kind of talk about some recent your recent undertakings here. So welcome.
Thank you. Sorry for blowing your shit up.
No, dude, it wasn't your fault at all. I had no idea.
It's okay. We're all getting blamed for blowing shit up.
It's getting fixed right now. It'll be back together probably this weekend and ready to go. We got a list race next week, so we're gonna go crush them out here at Kinston. So we got some squeeze to put on. Now that we figured out some stuff with that car, it should be a good time. But what's new with you, man?
Oh, just trying to, you got the drag week hangover, and we got the drag week and horsepower wars and South Georgia hangover. So it's been busy for sure.
So what's your focus? When are you guys heading to Georgia?
Lyle left out Monday with the Dart. We put the motor in. I think they got the heads bolted on about 7:00 Saturday evening. We put the motor in till about 2:00 in the morning. We fired it up Sunday. Just went through everything again, and I guess got the billet Brad Hemme short block now. So we had a lot of lifter issues and everything, getting the wedge head on it, 9/16 push rods, all that kind of stuff. But it's a billet block, no water, no nothing. So it actually was lighter than our Indy block that had concrete in it. So that threw a little bit of our weights off, and we had to move some weight around. And I think they made a couple test hits today and went pretty decent, but still struggling a little bit with the track and a little bit of weight. So we got to play with that. But I'm leaving tomorrow to go down.
Yep.
So I saw something. I was looking for some front tires for the car. Did he wheelie it and slam it, or
broke another wheel pulling into the pits? It's got the V series welds, and he broke one at I think Holly Springs, turning off the track. And we're pitted right behind staging lanes in South Georgia, and it's a real tight turn going in. And he called me. He's like, "Man, we got a Heim, hitting the wheel on the steering arm." I was like, "Well, that's never happened." I was like, "I need to look at everything, make sure wheel bearing ain't going out something, and it was the wheel flexing that hard, with the spool and sticky tires and, turning that sharp block to lock, and it was just flexing over." Well, the next time he came around, he came in and it actually cracked all the spokes on it. So he's had a lot of, we put it on Facebook looking for stuff, and he's got Aleppo's wheels that he's borrowing right now. And Eric Kimwood's bringing RC component wheels in the morning, and Weld is actually overnighting a set of full throttle wheels tomorrow to put on.
Nice. That's good to see the standing behind their product.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, they said they've had some issues. The cars aren't lightweight. Lightweight pro mods. They're full body 3,200 pound car, and they're hauling ass. So a lot of nose weight on them. So if you got 58% of the weight up front on a 3,200 pound car, that's a good bit of weight on those little spokes. So they see an issue. They're fixing it. But the full throttles are supposed to be stronger than what those V series are. So hopefully that'll fix it.
I don't think a lot of people realize how, if you've ever tried to push a car with a spool around in your garage to try and make a turn, imagine what that's doing, all the binding on the chassis and the load that it transfers through the wheel. Like, you would think just cruising through the pits that everything would be fine, but that's kind of wild to think about.
Oh, absolutely. That spool was just pissed off, and them tires are sticky, and we got to push all our cars around. We very seldom have a car that runs, and we have to push every damn thing. So we know wholeheartedly what it takes. But if we go through a little bit of gravel or something, is a godsend, because it'll turn a little better.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't have a motor and stuff, sometimes it pushes the front tires in the shop. It won't even turn. That's how much it's pushing, but it's pretty wild.
So what changes have you made on Tooth Jerker this go around? What are we looking at for results here? What are you guys trying to do with it?
So we added the 8 injectors in the intake the end of last year, and we were out of injector, and just was nowhere near tapped out on the turbo. So we were tapped out on injectors, so we added the injectors up top. To the way that intake is, the ram horn type thing, it actually just did it upstream to where they just blow right in. So we got 850s on the bottom and 275s up top. And that's when it went to 411, 413 into last year. We came back, and that's when we were waiting on our good crank to get back, and basically had a Chinese crankshaft in it. Well, it was moving around so much that it cracked the block right through the middle. And it's the Indy block. It's the aluminum Indy block they rate for 1,300 horsepower. So we were lucky to get by with what it was doing, and looking into a billet option. And Brad Anderson actually made 3 blocks that was a short deck block that would accept a wedge head, a Predator head. And they found one of them. It's been sitting on the shelf for like 10 years, and they found it. It was actually at Brad Anderson, so got it shipped here, and a ton of machine work to get the 9/16 push rods and the right cam core, and it was a ton of work to get everything worked out. Hopefully, all up, new everything. It's got same converter, a new turbo. They do have a new version of the 118 out, so we put that on. and everything else is pretty much the same.
And refresh our memory. What size is the motor? And that thing's on a 275 radial?
Yes, 548 cubic inch, Predator head, wedge head. So it's not a Hemi head. 2-speed 400 Performance trans, Pro with a leaf spring. And it's pretty straightforward on the rest of it.
How do you guys thinking it's going to look this year? Are we going to see a 4.0 or maybe a 3 out of it?
Absolutely, that's what the goal is. It's
so
it's
crazy.
it's got it's the third fastest in LDR at 413. So Justin Martin's did a 411, and I think Daniel Ferris, all them guys are going to be hauling butt this weekend. So I expect maybe a good bit of those going, maybe some O's, but that'll be good.
Like, if you guys are listening, you don't understand how crazy that is to wrap your brain around how fast these guys are going on a small tire and then doing it on a leaf spring at the weight. What's the minimum weight in that class?
We are 3175.
Like, that's bananas. Like
what's funny is Beer Money had to weigh the same as the tooth jerker.
What's
Chad Reynolds in the house?
Yeah, sorry guys, I was a couple minutes late, but I got here just in time to hear all the good stuff. So I'm super excited about this weekend because I have yet to be to one of Donald's races, and I am leaving California at 1:07 a.m. Tonight, and heading that direction. So it should be good, and I'm going to bring the good weather with me.
Yeah, we need it, man. It's hot here.
Yeah.
Where is the venue? I hate to say that, but I just have no idea.
South Georgia.
Yeah, South Georgia Motorsports Park.
It's about 20 minutes from the Florida line. So
that's
it's
something you got to do.
It's
Bill.
about 9 hours for us.
Oh, okay. Eric, can you? I have a reason for asking this question, which will become clear later. But a Predator head, kind of what is it? How is it configured? What kind of valve sizes and stuff is it? I mean,
it's the same
a wedge
thing.
Mopar, but
it's the same thing that Eddie Miller complains about running because it's quote unquote old junk when he's comparing it to Doc McIntyre's car.
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
I understand. No, that was where I was going. I wasn't there yet. Thank you, Mark. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm not up on the Mopar stuff that well, but I know they have like the B1 headed stuff, which is nowhere near as good as the Predator head. The Predator head, I think, is what John Ferrone runs on his drag week car. They flow 540, so it's a pretty mean piece, and it's probably equivalent to like a Big Chief head, but it is still a cast head, wedge head, I mean it's they're doing its job right now.
So like a 2,500 intake or something. Go ahead, Chad. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I believe so. I believe it's in that range.
To go with the Predator head was because there's a weight advantage running the wedge head. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
See, I'm looking up the Predator head right now on the Indy website. So Steve Gill helped develop this thing. It's available in both a Hemi and wedge head bolt pattern so that it will bolt to a Hemi block. So that's why you get to run the good Hemi block and have all that strength, but still keep the wedge head. Yeah, it says that out of the from them it says it flows 530 with a 245 intake valve and 460 cc CNC ported chambers, runners. That's awesome.
Poor Eddie. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. I feel real bad for him.
Such junk he's got to work with.
I know.
He's going to be in here talking smack in no time.
That's all right.
Yeah, he'll hear it or smell it.
Somewhere along the line, he'll point out that the record still stands with him because Doc's car doesn't meet the rules or something.
Oh yeah, whatever.
Let's not start that here.
I can't seem to get away from that argument.
It says that the intake ports are 400 cc's as cast, and then they CNC them to up to 460. That's awesome. In other words, it's a wedge head. You can stick your arm down the runner just like a Hemi.
Sounds like Bill's motor. You can literally stick your whole fist down and just grab the valve stem. Yeah, it is. You can literally just stick your whole arm down the port and grab the damn intake valve. It's awesome.
It's not fair. I don't have good stuff. It's all old junk.
Yeah, shut up. Nobody likes you either. The cool thing to me about the Tooth Shirker this weekend is that, if we get the traditionally good No Mercy track, and all those things and all the conditions, and we can keep the wheels on the front of it, all those things, which is a whole nother story. Then I think everybody is expecting O's this weekend. But I got to tell you, after working with Pete, that dude is so methodical. He's so humble. I swear to God, it's so enjoyable being around him as a tuner, because he really is working with the team, wanting to, talk to everybody about what's going on. I have to tell you, he has no fear, but not in the, we're going to turn it to 11 and then cross our fingers kind of way. So it won't surprise me even a little bit when they run a 3 with this thing, whether it's this weekend or another weekend. And Digby will lose his mind. When it runs a first 390, dude, Digby, somebody better have the defibrillator out there, because he may have a heart attack on the starting.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. See? Because, so you've been working with Digby for a long time, Big, and so what's his motivation for all of this? I mean, what is it that makes him want to do this with the car?
Oh, he's great. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better, owner, just drag guy that enjoys the sport and wants to go fast. And, he just enjoys it. He loves to do it. And, the stuff, when we was doing the nitrous combo stuff, we came here and did some fuel cell upgrades and chassis upgrades, lowered down this and that. And then, we were at South Georgia, and I think he on a piston. He's like, "We're putting a turbo on this thing." He's like, "Oh yeah, no problem, plenty of room." He's like, "Really?" So it kind of went downhill from there. And but he's just a great guy. You couldn't ask for a better guy and owner to work with.
I'm excited to eat all his food this weekend, I have to tell you.
Oh yes.
Apparently Digby is very well known for having the best spread of food in the pits, and that's saying something when you
There's a lot of good cooking down there.
Around.
That is saying something, man. I'm going to say, if you get a chance to have Dwayne Mills breakfast, I always tell people, man, owe him some favors. That's where it's at. Dwayne some favors, man. Get some breakfast in the Mills pits. He's got like a 10-foot grill.
We're pitted between us and Kenny Hubbard for the egg rolls. Oh my goodness! He's got a spread.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those guys are nuts too.
Awesome. Unbelievable.
Oh, God, you're gonna be fat like me when you leave there. Shit.
Dude, and I've been doing so good since we raced the Tooth Jerker the beer money car in Norwalk. I came home. I've been eating good. I lost like a bunch of pounds actually in a week and a half already. And this is going to kick me right in the ass coming back to Georgia. So maybe I can look at it as at least my net won't be any worse than I started.
Where are you flying into, Chad?
Atlanta. It was Valdosta is closer, but it's such a pain in the ass to get there without going to LAX, which I hate. So
yeah.
So we're going to Atlanta and then driving.
What's the Florida city everybody flies into? Is it Lakeland or no? Jacksonville?
Jacksonville. But see, Jacksonville is only about 25 minutes closer than Atlanta.
Right.
And again, Jacksonville, nowhere near as good a flight. So
right.
It was, the difference was for the same amount of miles to get a really shitty flight into Jacksonville. I got first class tickets for the trip going in and out of Atlanta from Ontario. So
right on. And it's direct,
I'll
right?
take that.
One hop.
I have one layover in Dallas, but it's it's Dallas, so it's easy.
Yep.
And I'm stopping in Dallas on the way home anyway to go work on some property stuff for the new place in Dallas. So it'll be good.
Yeah, you're moving to Texas. When's that going down?
It'll still be several months because we haven't. I mean, it's bare land, literally with grass on it. So we've got to at least get the first shop built so that we can move all the car stuff there. I don't mind living in an apartment for a while the house is getting built, but I'm not going to move the shop twice.
Right.
So just no reason to move there and then pay storage and then have to move it all again and then.
Makes sense.
Too much of a pain.
So now let's move into, since we have two celebrities of the show, Horsepower Wars.
Actually, we got three. I see Jimmy Bowling sitting in the background there.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Jimmy, weren't you guys first
Jimmy?
loser? Sorry, just kidding.
They were. No,
Yeah, but
hey,
No, I think we were like the third loser. Sorry, I was busy collecting money.
you built the supercharged big block, right, Jimmy?
Yep.
yes, Jimmy Bravo in the house.
A
Well,
plus. Yep.
They were the style points winners by
I
like
that build,
100
man.
miles.
If you can't win the show, be the show.
Yeah.
Dude, 100%. If you can't win the dough, be the show. If dude, if you can't be fast, be spectacular. These guys were both fast and spectacular. I mean, the thing ran 8s and it was awesome. And it was the car that everybody would want to have made into a Hot Wheels car.
Sure.
Blower cars always get the chicks too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Jimmy, tell us about all the chicks that you got and all the fun time that you had
And how easy
while
it
you were
was.
out at Norwalk.
Norwalk, no, that was in California, man. I wish it was like that, but it's a couple jokes might have got stretched out a little bit in the show, but I'd come out with a big fat goose egg because there's no time for any of that for sure.
He had some good camshaft loop he used on his for building the big block too.
Yeah, I bought it.
That's right.
Stand.
Yeah.
So I know
I'm telling you, there were so many inside jokes going on in that deal. Like so much stuff you'll never see on film because if they were smart, they never even shot it. But oh, dude, it was great.
Every time I was doing something I didn't want them to see, I just started talking a bunch of nasty shit. So like they would stop recording.
They would go away. Use that trick next time.
Okay, so we've been talking tonight about the addiction that drag week can become. And Eric, I know you've fallen victim to this in one form or another. So the big question is, Horsepower Wars $10,000 dragway shootout 2019, who's going to go back or at least apply to go back, if anyone?
Well, we're hoping that we get invited back as the defending champions to be. What we're hoping is that instead of having the dream team, they bring back the reigning champions. And if they do, we're coming back for sure.
I want to point out the fact that you guys, the Team Biggin was the last team to get selected. Like everybody else was voted in before you guys were.
Not actually voted in. Be careful about that.
Well, thank you.
I was going to say, how did that work? Because it was not exactly like a shoe-in, right?
Yeah, basically,
we were the only team that was voted in. We were the only one. We're the people's choice. So every other
and thank
team
you to
was
all
chosen by the television show.
And thank you to all of the RealTuners listeners that voted for Team Biggin.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Dude,
Definitely.
We
All
got
29 of you,
75% of the internet vote.
I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. We were making bets, putting money on it. Nobody would take us up on the bets, remember?
I figured you just made them the vote in because they knew they'd get voted in.
Yeah, that's probably right, Jimmy Bravo. You're probably right on that.
I know.
Because James and them are not stupid. I mean, they figured this out pretty good. So,
like they knew they wanted us, but they weren't 100% sure we'd get the votes. They're like, they better put them in, and then Biggin will get voted in.
Right. You're probably right.
So we got a few people. Where can they watch this? There's a few people saying that they do watch it, but just to everybody else, if you guys haven't figured it out yet, we're talking about it's. I know the word or the title is very lengthy, but Horsepower Wars $10,000 drag shootout. We've talked about it before. So this was a competition. There was 4 teams total, roughly $10,000 split up between cash and summit money, and they had to build a car. And spoiler alert, it's already been broadcast live, so we can talk about it. But our guest tonight, Eric Yost of Team Biggin, they came out on top with their car called Beer Money, which is an amazing name and an amazing build altogether. If you haven't seen pictures of this thing, go check it out. Go watch the show. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it on YouTube. Catch up to get up to par. And you can. Well, when's the finale going to be? When are the final episodes coming out here?
October 4th. Next Thursday. Yeah, next Thursday. So, and we're not allowed to talk about any of the particulars of the race weekend other than, yes, we won.
Yep.
You know, what you saw live was, you know, the elimination rounds and qualifying, but we're not allowed to talk about any of the drama. And trust me, there was plenty of it. I don't know how they're going to edit this without all of us looking like a bunch of really angry assholes, but we'll see.
So I don't even think, even without even knowing who won, if you've watched a couple episodes, you can see that this is like MTV real world levels of drama almost. It's kind of humorous to watch because there's some personalities. I don't think they could have picked better and more different teams and set it up the way they did. And, you know, but it's racing. It's heads up racing. When you get into it, you get egos involved. There's going to be some fireworks that go off. So I enjoy a little bit of smack talk back and forth, and it's really entertaining to watch. You know, Eric, you and I have talked about it. Watching Lyle get fired up and talking with Dwayne Guttridge and going back and forth there. It's really entertaining to watch. If you guys kind of like to see the behind the scenes stuff and watch the cars getting built and doing it on a budget, and if you got to pay attention to what's going on in the Biggin Bay, because there's some really cool stuff and like just little tiny, like the pencil box for the switch panel, like genius stuff, like just cutting corners here and there where they can be cut to save weight and save money. You could take a lot of that stuff and pay attention to it. I wish there was like a behind the scenes extended cut version to see all the corners that you guys cut on that, to like apply that to my own program. Like it's awesome.
It's complete genius. It's complete genius. You guys got to take that car everywhere and let people see. I've told everybody I can talk to that it's like a cruise missile in the guise of a dirty, stinky fox body with beer cans glued to it. Because really, the level of sophistication built into that car is off the hook. And at the same time, the Stinky Pinky guys, my hat's off to you. And I think everyone will notice that the 2 teams we had on before this event were Biggin and Stinky Pinky. So, hey, but anyway, the ingenuity, the commitment, the everything, you know, the 2 teams that stood out, well, here they are right here on RealTuners. So,
check it out.
Commercial interruption excused. Yeah, no, but I mean, seriously, I'd love to hear, you know, both of you guys, you know, or all you guys talk a little bit more about decisions on the combination.
Yeah. And
realistically, Eric and Chad, the planning and the execution that went into that car was off the hook.
Well, let me tell you one thing before I have Biggin tell you a bunch of the stuff. Is I love your suggestion of you want to see all this stuff, you know, behind the scenes. I will tell you that we will do a walk around live because they've already talked about the build of the car this weekend at some point. Well, is the car coming to Georgia still, Biggin, or no?
Yes, important in the morning.
Okay, good. That's what I thought, but I want to make sure. So this weekend at some point, Biggin and Lyle and I will walk around the car and do an explanation of all of the features we can possibly think of on the car and we'll put that up as a Facebook Live deal so everybody can see that, because it really is cool. And to your point about the planning, Biggin sent me a message and said, "Hey, dude, we're gonna get, we're trying to get on this show. We need your help, to spread the word and get people to vote for us and all this." I said, "Okay," and he said, "And I need you to help me, with local connections because it was getting done here in Southern California where I live." And so we were planning this thing out, for weeks and weeks and weeks ahead. And that was so much fun to me. Like, I love that part. You guys know how I am about bending rules and the racing starts when you start planning the build. It doesn't start when you pull on the, drag strip or the road course. And when they decided that we were allowed to have an extra person on the team, it was like immediate. The guys are like, "Okay, you're our dude." And I'm like, "Okay, this is great." But we planned out detail.
I'd have paid money to see what happened when you showed up in James Lawrence's face. I didn't get to see that, but it would have been funny.
It was great.
I will give him credit because he was pretty shocked. But I will give him credit because James was amazing through all of this. He had a very tough job to do, and there were times where I was really mad at him about certain things that were happening at the show. But overall, the way that he treated me, who, a lot of people would have went, "Wait, you guys are competition, and why would he let you on the show?"
Or they would have just said, "Hey, he's a dick."
To say he was cordial would be an understatement. He was great, and I really appreciated it.
Yeah, and I can tell you, even away from you guys, they were awesome. They were really awesome. And, oh, by the way, Biggin, I owe you guys about, 4 cases of beer, I think. Just saying.
That's okay. You will put it on your tab, Bill.
That's all right. The Swedes brought me 32 cases.
Yikes. 32 cases of beer?
Yes. The Swedes showed up at Drag Week. We worked on their car, the week before, and he's like, "I'll bring you a present on Tuesday for your open house." And he pulled up with his Corvette, C4 Corvette, with 32 cases of beer on the trailer. So we those guys. Yes, we were planning, way ahead of time, and at the first meeting we had a conference call deal with everybody on there. Our 5th guy was Jason Smith from TBN Brakes, and I told him from the get-go, I said, "Dude, you're probably our MVP, unsung hero for keeping our budget, because he does do a lot of that stuff, and me and Pete are not real good at that." So, the first time we sat down, is like, "All right, we got $7,000 in the Summit." We blew it in 5 minutes. It's like, "Oh, we can't. We got to step back and punt and trim some fat where we can." So, we the one thing we didn't steer away from was the Holley ECU. The HP box was from the get go. That was our go to, and we weren't gonna change from that. And I'm glad we didn't, because it was so easy. We had 4 inputs, 4 outputs, so we used them all. For a boost controller, a bump box, a scramble button. We had everything in one box, and to drive, time-based time or whatever we wanted, it was there. But that was one thing. We saved money on where other teams bought new wheels. We saved a good bit of money there. Used turbo, which kind of crapshoot. Borg War, you can't kill it. We bought a used S475, and it held up good. We went as far as like the fuel tank. The fuel, we bought aluminum Summit.
Are you guys allowed to use the Pro Shop? Somebody was asking. Summit Pro Shop?
No.
And who's doing their dishes?
each dash 8.
Chad, you're being
rude. Dash 8 was our vent that our electrical lines out of, and then we returned it on the bottom dash 8. Stuff like that we didn't have to buy any more fittings, or the crossover for the water. We had the Summit had a dash 12 4-port deal that bolted on the 3 bolts on the LS, and you had 4 dash 12 fittings. Well, I used one of the dash 12s as the turbo drain for the oil pan. Only used 2 of them for the water, and took AC line off AC condenser and went from one hole to the bottom hole, from the top to the bottom, and just had a return and feed off of our bilge pump and our Igloo $20 tank for our radiator. So stuff like that we scienced out and knew what fittings we needed and where we could really save. We knew it was going to be nickel and dime to the end to where it could really shoot us in the foot. But it all worked out because we had money left over. And was I buy that sheet metal intake from Summit.
Who did the project management on that? Give that guy some credit. Who was it?
Yes, Jason Smith, TBM Brakes.
Nice.
So he was so good that he kept our numbers. That the horsepower wars people will come every day. So, oh, this is what you got left over. I said, oh no, this is what we got left over. To the T, to the penny, our numbers were right, and they went back. Oh yeah, you're right. So yeah, he did a heck of a job, and I think we're the only team that came in under budget. We had if you see, Beer Money has curb fillers on it, and we had like $7 left over in Summit money, and if we don't use it, we lose it.
Right.
So we had curb fillers shipped to Norwalk.
Sweet.
Which were just totally awesome. And my hat goes off to Jason. I will admit freely that I'm glad that we had the bare brakes on there. And Lyle told me that after the chute didn't deploy on one of the test passes.
Yes.
But Jason from TPM, they did a great job helping you guys get out there and do all of that. And hats off to those guys.
Awesome. Outstanding. We need to get him on here then. Bill's like, I wouldn't go that far.
No, man, I call it like it is. And he was awesome. And, they did a great job supporting the guys and making all that happen. So you got to call it as it is.
I do about 15 to 20 minutes in my classes on project management and its importance. So I'm right there with that guy. I actually really appreciate a well-managed project when you hit the budget on target and the time deadline. That's just impressive. It almost doesn't matter what you're building. You should have seen Chad with the whiteboard and the dry erase markers and working this stuff out in the back of the car. We both share a background with a tech company, and it was just pretty funny to watch. I was waiting for him to do PowerPoint. Right? That's excellent. So
yeah, I mean we built a turbo EFI setup, and we were the first ones to crank the motor, first one on the dyno, and that speaks for itself right there. It was a ton of work to do all that, and we were 370 pounds underweight, so we got to put the weight where we wanted it. We had a mini 4-link chassis points on, cut the front end off, tube the front, so we had a race car.
Undertaking. When you started with that the first day, when the whole thing was just cut off, I was like, and I don't know. I mean, you guys were sharing pictures with us. I don't know what all was public or not. I didn't share nothing, but I saw that and I'm like, oh my God, those guys are never going to finish. That had to be.
Yeah. It was done the next day.
Yeah. It's impressive.
It was stripped and then a roller by day 2.
Yeah, when we rolled it out, cutting the wheel tubs out, we took our used rear wheels as check luggage, so we didn't get it shipped out there in time, so we took them as check luggage. And day one we plasma cut the mini tub, the wheel tubs out, and put them on 55-gallon drums to get our axle length, to get our axles ordered. That was another thing we didn't skimp on was axles, axles and spool, because broken part, that ain't going to be good for anybody. So we got those measurements to get through Summit, to get our strange stuff, cut the length and 35 spline stuff. So all that worked out, and we had that cut out, the spare tire well, the whole dash, the whole front end, and we basically had one dolly underneath it, and we rolled it outside to pressure wash it. And everyone by the other team is like, "Oh my God, what did they do?" But we.
Oh, you're there. Sorry. My bad. I was playing with buttons. You're good.
Yeah, so it all worked out. But a lot of other teams looked around and was like, man, they're really screwing up, or what do they got going on? But we've done enough of those style builds or whatever. We had a pretty good handle on what needed to be done, and like our steering column, we used we rebuilt our own 400 turbo, so we had a lot of bushings left over, all the tranny bushings. We took tubing inside of tubing and used the transmission bushings as our bearing.
God,
so we just
brilliant bastard.
I know, right? I just feel stupid. I'm over here figuring out how to pull the fucking exhaust off my weed eater and struggling.
It's so well because I've been looking. I'm like, after drag week, I'm 200 pounds over the minimum weight, and I'm like, man, I got a stock steering column in this thing. And I was looking at like kits. I'm like, there's nothing to these things. I don't want to pay $400. How can I do this cheaper? And then here and that, I'm like, oh man,
I'll make you some nice dowering bushings. What we do here in the shop, but on the cheap, we did just transmission bushing. But we could hook you up with the steering column. That ain't no biggie.
Yeah, and it's
I'm telling you, it's a master class in how to build a race car for the least amount possible. I mean, I had the privilege of getting to spend 2.5 days there while these guys were getting this thing lined out, and it was impressive, just impressive.
The dash structure in the SN95 is 85 pounds, by the way.
Oh no, mine's all gone.
Oh, you already got rid of it all?
Yeah. Speaking of,
shut up. Shut up. Just don't even mention it.
Can I have your saline?
No, I'm gonna kick your ever loving ass.
It's just that time of the week.
Let you wear him down, and then I'm going to get that car. That's going to become my project car.
Listen, I already told you to. Ain't nobody getting that car. I'm getting buried in that car.
We'll see about that.
My buddy Higgins has got
Sorry to our guests for the minor digression here as Rye attempts to pry the saline, which I can send you gallons of that shit if you want it.
Sorry, saline.
Saline.
The real question is it going to run when you get buried in it, John?
That sounds like a robot.
I can't. That didn't come out anything legible for me to understand what you said.
Bad.
Mr. Roboto.
Sorry. I'm hearing everything clear on this end. I don't know. Whatever. People are complaining.
What I asked was when you get buried.
If you're playing at home.
Oh my God, that's funny. I'm already hammered. My God.
Everybody drink.
Are you in it, or the telomeres going to be out? That's all that matters. That's all I need to
He came
know.
back. There's our internet recovered.
Yes,
Stop
the
the porn
telomeres
download.
are going to be out, and I'm going to put an extra 12 inches worth of flipping extension on them.
Mike
Just for
Perduto,
you.
Mike Perduto tells everyone to back off. It's his saline.
Right? Perduto probably
What
do
the
something
hell?
with it.
What the hell is it? What the hell is up with you guys and wanting my car?
It's a clean
Paul's
build,
off.
man. It's a post-college build. It's going to be freaking sweet in 2029, but
I know, right?
it's all right. Take your time.
Chad Reynolds must be unmuted. I think he is now.
Oh, I just figured out how to unmute myself, you bastard.
Yeah.
Well, quit doing the dishes while you're on the
Right.
podcast, and we
I know,
won't have
it
to
lights
mute.
up.
It
We
wasn't
know who's
me.
making the
I
noise.
was sitting in a perfectly quiet room all by myself, not moving. It was not me that was doing the dishes.
Sitting in a perfectly quiet room, mostly not moving.
Yeah, it was not me. I assure you.
All started.
God.
We muted you. All the weird went away.
So, Eric,
Coincidence?
after SGMP, where else are you guys going to take Beer Money on tour? I know you guys took it to Mooresville, didn't you?
Yeah, we took it up there. Our local is half mile down the road, so we pulled it over there, and it's going to be at PRI. I'm not sure which booth, but got to think a couple options on that, and I'm not sure where all else, but we're gonna leave the weight in it and possibly run it at Georgia, and try to maybe go a 7 with it.
What is that car run to the 8th right now?
Well, we hadn't put a good combo together yet. We had 5 qualifying passes, and the first pass it went down. I think it went 540 to the 8th at 131. It was like a 140, 160 foot. In the finals, it went 137 and went a 547 maybe, but at a 127. Lyle did a 1-3 shift instead of a 1-2 shift.
God damn it, Lyle.
Yeah. So the shifter, which is not very good, it's the same deal. We bought a used shifter. Well, our transmission didn't come. You could not find a trans brake valve body that was reverse pattern. So this thing was or you couldn't find one regular pattern. Everything was reversed. So I had to take this, the winter shifter, cheetah shifter, whatever you want to call it, and grind the gate on it. So he pulls straight back for second and then over to the left and back for third, which regular you would go straight forward and it would spring over. So you hit it one time and go over, one time for third. So he pulled back and went all the way to third. So the 1-3 shift did not help. But it went 851 at 164. So if we can definitely trim the 60 foot off and get that ironed out, I think it could definitely be right around there.
And you guys are spraying that car too, no?
We're spraying about a 50 or 60 shot.
Shit.
Since it's not intercooled, just cool it down a little bit.
What fuel is it on?
C16.
Well, that answers all my next questions, which was going to be
that
when
was the
can we
spec
do a
fuel.
grudge race?
Oh,
Yeah,
you
we
got
were gonna
C16
go-
for the spec. That's cool.
Yeah, that was because Stinky wanted to go alcohol, of course, and then which if that thing was on alcohol would have been a beast,
Right. I can see why
totally
Dean and them wanted to do that. Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, that's he said he was at lunch on the gas tune up, and they definitely got it figured out, but it took them a little while to get it going. But he said if it was on alcohol, he'd know exactly what to put in it and be running in no time. But we would have went E90 or E98, something like that, and wouldn't have put any nitrous on it at all. But being that and being we couldn't afford an intercooler, the whole thing, it doesn't have any V bands on it. The 2.5 stainless welds right to the truck manifolds, right to the turbo flange. So the intercooler or the pipe off of the turbo is welded right to the turbo, and it's got one silicone hose on the throttle body. That's it.
In retrospect, about the alcohol thing, though, we wouldn't have been able to get enough fuel of that anyway. It's not on the budget. I don't think we had enough. We were on the edge of what we could do on gas for that carburetor anyway, so probably wouldn't have worked. So it was probably a blessing in disguise we couldn't run alcohol.
Interesting point, because what are you going to do? You guys are mechanical injected guys, aren't you, normally, when you run a motor like that, or big-ass alky carbs, I guess?
Yeah, in Dean's bracket stuff, we use carburetors, and then the Go Fast stuff, we do mechanical injection. Yeah, so on that, we had an Aeromotive A1000 pump, and then it was a 1150 Dominator. So that's the reason why we never did fully swap. We were afraid it just wasn't enough because it kind of laid over on us once, and he just lifted. And what I think that was is after that run, I went and checked the valves, and we did have one rocker that was pretty loose. So maybe that's why he said it just kind of felt like it slowed up a little bit. So he just lifted. So from there, we were afraid that we could have been out of fuel. So we never did a pulley swap. I
Do you
think
have any kind of logging or anything, air fuel meter, a wideband on board, or were you winging it?
Not a dang thing.
Kick ass. That's so awesome. I don't know, any other tuners find that just balls out awesome? Nope, sorry, no wideband today. You're gonna have to do it like the men used to do it.
I have described this thing as a bag of hand grenades with duct tape, and that was pretty much what the deal was, from what I could tell, Jimmy.
Yep, pretty much.
It was awesome.
Good show.
I gotta be honest with you. Even before I caught a bunch of hell on the show, I was like, dude, this thing is going to fucking explode, and I'm gonna look like shit. Like, my job, I'm pretty good at my job, but
this is really going to help my business.
Yeah. I still look like it, but at least one episode. But I was very, it was a stock block, not even filled because we just didn't have it in the budget, and a cast crank and Eagle SIR rods.
Oh yeah,
pretty crazy.
You kept it together. That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah.
Good. Well, who else has got any things they want to talk about? Got a couple more minutes.
I was going to call Eric out for a grudge match, but I changed my mind after he told me.
What beer money probably can run. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to apologize again. I'm sorry for drinking every last drop of your all's moonshine because I don't think anybody else drank it. I drank the whole thing.
That was okay.
No problem.
It was a gift. That was what it was supposed to be for.
Yes, it was excellent.
Another one of those jugs from the South with the 3 X's on it. Take me a while to figure that out.
It was a good mason jar full of peachy goodness that came from an undisclosed or a shall remain nameless pro mod team that has some really good people that are awesome, and they provided us with excellent beverages
and a moonshine still.
Yeah. Hey, are you Jimmy Bravo? Are you coming to South Georgia or no?
No. We've got we're getting ready for World Cup, so we're doing some. Yeah, and actually, Scott's probably going to be a part of this car.
I was going to say, you're going to let me help out with it? I got a potential thing going. I'm interested, man. I'll help you out.
Yeah, we the one shop that I own. Not only do we do engines and make like some some
radical parts.
We do fab parts. Well, they stopped before I bought the place. They stopped making manifolds because they were having problems with them cracking. Or what it was, they weren't back purging. So I just bought all the stuff to back purge. So we started making manifolds again. And I thought that we should do this custom manifold for this car to kind of like, jump that off. So we're getting that ready this weekend. So nope. I'd like to. I still haven't been to one of Duck's races, and I'm not sure if I want to go or not.
Oh man, could be bad for you. I'm kidding.
I'm not a spectator, so
Now you want to go race. You definitely want to go race there, but there's something cool about when they call you to the lanes and you got to plow through a giant crowd. It's like Disney World. It's pretty awesome.
Sure. But now
it's exciting.
I could just go crash the party with Biggin and Lyle, so I'd be all right.
Right?
Come on down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whoever posted that Ducks Race starting line dress kit, that's just awesome.
Starter kit, yeah.
Yeah. Blocking the burnout box starter kit.
Right. What was it? A Precision Turbo hoodie.
Gotta have a Fuel Tech shirt, I'm sure.
Fuel Tech or Proline shirt or a Precision hoodie. Flat bill hat. What else?
Cell phone with the camera light on.
Yes. Gotcha.
Wrong direction for.
Oh, I don't mind it. I like the setup there. We always had a good time with the duck races. I wanted to go this time, skipping out because my buddies Mike and Dave wanted to go see if we could get the track record where we're just a few miles off at the Arkansas Mile. So I'm going to do the East Coast Timing Association thing. But I'm bringing all my gear and a couple of screens so I can stream everything and we can watch it there and have audio and stuff in the pits. So we'll be watching you guys. Good luck to everybody competing down there too. Everybody be safe this week. We got a whole bunch of customers and friends going down there. So.
Make sure.
So Scott is the LSR race ECTA,
yes,
run
it's
deal?
ECTA, East Coast Timing Association. Yep, it's their new home in Blytheville, which is, I don't. Here's a selfish moment. It's so much closer to me than all their other events, dude. I'm going. I didn't go to the one in midsummer, but I went to the one in spring, the first one, and I'm going to the third event. And it's fun. They got a really nice course and facility there. That airport, the Blytheville Airport, it's an old ex-World War II base with a still maintained runway. That's super long. We had fun, and I like doing that. So I like hanging out with the Maddie brothers. So good times. We're gonna try and take their beer money version of a land speed car. It's the Millennium Falcon of land speed cars, but we're gonna see how we can do there. So anyway, that's about all.
Let me know how that intercooler pump works out on your car.
Oh, it's moving a lot more water. They were all super stoked about it.
Mm-hmm. I knew it would be because that ain't no bilge pump.
No,
Okay,
like,
so
wow,
question. Question on that is moving intercooler water just the same rule essentially as radiator water, meaning don't restrict it, just move as much volume of water back and forth through the thing as possible.
Yes.
Or is there? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as much as you can get through it, as quick as you can get through it.
Well, in the dyno results, I took it to the chassis dyno and it showed that Bewley was a spot on the money with it needing to be a water issue because the IATs dropped. So
I'm not necessarily. I don't necessarily care if the IATs dropped on the dyno.
Yeah,
what I'm more worried about is
3 minutes.
I'm more worried about the rise over the run because the rate of the rise that they had over the run was entirely too much, too quick.
Yep.
So I'm expecting that rate to drop by at least 50%.
Gotcha. We also installed my traction stuff on there, the dual VSS, which really on a mile racer is even more helpful than it is on drag racers. So
Right.
it's we were looking for 230s, 230 mile an hour in a really budget build combo. So anyway.
That'd be killer.
Yeah, but let me make one comment about that really budget built combo. That does not mean that it is a street car that just has a bunch of power. That's a built race car with all of the safety gear that you should have to have.
Yeah.
I know that's
containment seat. Yeah,
it has everything that's required to run at Bonneville. And quite frankly, we've seen some really big tragedies in the last week. And I'll just be the guy to say it. If you go out and race your car and go any more than 125 miles an hour, if your car is stock bodied or otherwise, if you go faster than that, don't have a roll cage, proper harness, a Hans device, fire suit, and all of that, you're a fucking retarded idiot. I'll be the guy to say it. And you know what? If you're too fucking dumb and too selfish not to do it, that's on you, but your family and the people in the world that care about you deserve better. So it's a horrible, horrible circumstance where you get these guys that have more money than sense in these Lambos and stuff going out and wanting to run crazy numbers on a runway somewhere. That's just douchebaggery at its finest.
Thing that I hate is the mob mentality about all this. All these people like complain about safety stuff, but then, when somebody that, they know gets hurt or something like that, then it's the track's fault or it's the organization's fault or something like that. But they were mad at them before when they were trying to enforce tech stuff. I
mean, it is on you, but at the same time, you're going to find out what it does to the sanctions that don't require the safety. There's a reason that the SCTA has been around for a bazillion years. They've been through all this stuff.
I read a lot about the accidents. 2 of them pretty significant that went down this past week. One at the sanctioned event, and then another one happened on the street with an individual. But one of the best lines that I read was something that you wrote, Scott. There's a lot of people that were saying like, "Hey, this is." If it's not hurting anybody else, let a person make his choice. It's a solo pass, doesn't matter. But when you said, and I quote, somebody's got to clean that shit up. That was like, that's it, dude. Like somebody, like you can't pretend that your decision to run doesn't affect anybody else.
Yeah, I know. If you say, screw it, I don't care. I'll sign a waiver. I don't mind if I crash or whatever. Well, that's cool. But then you got to clean it up. And then some of your loved ones are going to come after the track or the sanctioning body. And it affects everybody else that wanted to race and do it the right way. And somebody does have to clean up the mess. It sucks, but oh well. One of my
not to mention the fact selfish by choosing to endanger yourself when there are people who care about you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be a dick about it. I'm not going to call people idiots or whatever. We all do dumb things or whatever. It's just, that's why I'd like to see the sanctioning bodies kind of up their game like the SCTA and the East Coast Timing Association guys do. I
made a post to make my feelings known about it, and it's honestly
you and Chad are cut from the same mold.
Well, and it's I wasn't quite as harsh about the way I felt about it, but it's my feelings that any distance over a quarter mile, then the SCTA or the ECTA should be sanctioning everything. It's want to go fast. All the half miles at all the airports.
If you overcome the hurdles for their safety and get through their tech, which is really generally very solid, it's really cool because they got all these different classes for engines, for fuels, for body types, whatever. I mean, it's getting past the safety check is probably the hard part. The rest of it, there's always a way to set a record. But anyway,
I'm not gonna throw the name of it out there, but we've done a couple half-mile events. And the tech, out when I lived in California there, and the tech was fill this out, sign the bottom, turn it in. Nobody lifted a finger. Nobody looked at the car. Nobody looked in the car to see what I was wearing before I made a rip. I mean, hindsight is 2020. I wouldn't do the same thing now. I mean, I wasn't wearing like shorts and flip flops, but I was not wearing, or that car did not have what it has now or what it should have had back then. But we've talked about it before on the podcast. Like the safety enforcement is drastically lacking, and we talked about it on this podcast. I think even Eric, you were on it. We had a whole episode dedicated to safety and talking about it in racing. That stuff doesn't just apply
on here too sometime. Yeah,
I'm not. I don't want to say I told you so, but the writing's been on the wall for this for a while, and it's a terrible thing. And my thoughts and prayers go out to the gentleman who lost his life this week, and
his family. That sucks.
100%, because he's an awesome guy. Like, really, really cool dude that we all knew, and he had great cars. And the car he was in was just not the one with the safety stuff in it, And the big part about it, though, you mentioned how a lot of these events don't do any safety check, really. The truth is, and I'm not going to put names out there either, every single person that's on this podcast knows 3 people I could name off the top of my head who are wonderful human beings, and I love them to death and would do anything for them. But their careers as tech people are a joke, and they shouldn't be doing it. There are too many events. I go to Holly LS Fest every year. I have been threatened to be killed. I have threatened to get my ass kicked. I had a guy try and throw me off the tower there one year because I kicked them out because they were so blatantly not following the safety rules that there was just no way that this made sense. This year we had a guy with a C5 Corvette with no roll bar, no harness, no nothing, but it did have a parachute mount on the back of it, but no parachute on the mount, who was running in the 8th at 179 miles an hour.
Yikes.
That's not okay. It just isn't. I mean, I don't care. It's just not okay. And at some point, what is going to happen is that somebody will realize it. You bring up Lyle. Lyle is real big on safety stuff. And I love Lyle to death. He's like a brother I never had. Like, the dude is awesome, right? He will tell you firsthand and show you on his body how he had the right suit on, but the wrong gloves and shoes. And he will show you exactly what that did to him,
Right. He won't remember
like,
me, but I took a golf cart ride with him. We were when I was tuning for Rob Goss last year, and I needed a quick ride back to the pits for a laptop or something. And Lyle was there in his golf cart and gave me a ride, and I got the 5-minute discussion, and he didn't mind me asking questions about the deal because I'd followed him on Facebook. The recovery just daily. Oh God, the stuff that guy was going through to recover. You're just like, holy shit, man, that sucks. And he just gives you a really good 5-minute presentation about it. But anyway.
We did a half-mile event.
When he got his final eyelid surgery was when Daphne went in the hospital.
Yeah.
And she came off the ventilator, and he was getting to open and close his eyes for the first time in a year, with actual eyelids. And she cried and sat there going, oh my God, I can't believe this kid is going through this. I'm sucking it up because I can't even imagine what that would be like. I mean, the dude, if he was here, I'd be busting his balls about it, but he's a testament to, what we all should aspire to do, when you face a tragedy like that. I mean, he has overcome it. Melissa, his girlfriend, is a saint. The chick is awesome. She is super great to be around, and she took care of him. And, the two of them, have something that, most people luckily never have to experience. But dude, that guy, he went through a lot, and it changed him. And he wasn't a non-safety guy before. But it shows you just the extra, just extra stuff you got to do. I mean, you never know.
Yep. Well, we should wrap it up on that. You guys stick around for a little bit, but everybody else, I guess, dudes, we'll talk to you guys on the chat here in a few minutes. But let's see. So we added a class, Chicago, October 27th and 28th. It's going to be just the regular standalone EFI Essentials, also known as EFI Basics class. You guys should come check that out, Chicago people, because that's going to be in Rockford. And at this same place, we're going to probably do all 3 classes a couple in the spring as well. So I'm also working on a Holly advanced class at Kevin Smith's shop in November, first weekend in November. December, first weekend or let's see, what is it? First weekend in December, I think is what we're doing at Trick Pro Motorsports down in Florida. Where's that? Palm Bay. Anyway, we're going to do an HP Tuners class down there with James Short teaching. And basically, that's about it. Look for some other classes. We're trying to line up Ohio and Las Vegas over the wintertime. So that's about all we got there. Everybody else, good to hear from you. Peace out. Thanks to thanks to Big and Eric Yost for being on tonight, and everybody else. Appreciate it. Everybody have a good night.